Voltei para a camisa preta. Acho que esse é o vídeo que eu mais me esforcei nessa iluminação desse ambiente com o filtrinho. Mas a gente não vai ver isso aqui. Não é isso que a gente quer ver. Eu estou cansado, mas eu quero gravar um vídeo. Quero reagir a uma pessoa testando a Sony A7IV Lowlight. Novidade? Nem um pouco, mas quero ver. Vamos lá. Deixa eu achar aqui a aba.
The Sony A7IV.
Cheio de pixel. Agora vê a cara harmonizada dele, porra.
The Sony A7IV performs extremely well in low light situations. This shot, for example, is at 12,800 ISO in a completely unideal situation. My main light is like a street light. It's like 50 feet away from me. And look how good this looks. I'm going to show you exactly what's working well for me to get good low light footage out of the A7IV. When I first started shooting videos on the A7 III, way back, I kept seeing people getting amazing low light videos with that camera, but I was rarely making mine look good. So I spent years identifying what are the main things that are going to lead to really good looking low light videos, and that's exactly...
Porra, é foda, quem tem tempo, sei lá, quem não tem outras prioridades, faz esses troços aí, eu acho do caralho. É simples, mas dá trabalho. Então, olha só, ele tá pegando da câmera dele mesmo. Tá fazendo a captação da tela da câmera dele. Tipo, se fuder, tá ligado?
Exactly what I'm going to share with you in this video. It came down to 3 really simple things. Well, the first 2 are going to be kind of obvious, but I'm going to run through some best practices that might actually surprise you. And the last one wasn't quite as obvious to me, but was an absolute game changer. And when you get it right, you'll make your videos look like this, even at high ISOs. This video is geared toward the Sony A7 IV, but 99% of the practices that we're gonna go through are applicable regardless of whatever mirrorless camera that you're using. The first thing that will make or break your low-light video...
Então dá pra usar na minha lindinha, dá pra usar no meu bonequinho ali, ó, na minha bonitinha 7C. Cara, eu fico muito gostoso com essa blusa, puta que me pariu, fico grandão.
Is simply exposure. If you're anything like me, I'm sure you've come across the advice out there talking about for a log profile to overexpose to 0.3 on the meter, or 0.7 or 1.3 or 2.0, and for non-log picture profiles to expose it to 0 or maybe 0.3. I found this to be the worst method to get consistent results with my low light videos. And after a lot of trial and error, I've landed at using one method called zebras to get my exposure dialed, and it works every time. This is exactly how I use zebras to get exposure, and I use this exact same method whether I'm in a log profile or a non-log picture profile. This is the Ansel Adams exposure chart.
Eu não esperava isso do vídeo, não. Novidade? Nem um pouco. Novidade? Nem um pouco. Novidade? Nem um pouco. Já, porra. Que do caralho. Rapaz.
Chart. I'll include a link below if you want a free copy of this. And it represents all the values that we want to expose things to. This will all make sense. Let's simplify this a bit though, and only use the skin tones and the brightest highlights, as those are the most prevalent in 90% of the shots that we're getting. Next, find the zebra settings in your camera. I've custom mapped the ability to turn the zebra display on or off to this button in my A7.
Eu vou assistir esse vídeo depois sem reagir. Vou dar uma estudada nele. Good video.
4, and this one to quickly change the values. The values here under these zebras match the chart perfectly. Let's say that we have this skin tone in the shot. I'll simply set my zebras to that value and then increase the ISO on the camera until the zebras start to show up on the skin, then pull back the ISO by 1 click, and that will be my exposure. And if I don't have a skin tone in the shot, I'll find a light that is in the frame. I know that that would represent the brightest highlight in the scene, so I'll set my zebra value to match the chart, which in this case would be 100, and then do the same method of bringing up the ISO until the zebras start to appear on that highlight, and then pull back by 1 click, and boom, we have exposure. Now look, using zebras is not a perfect method to get exposure. All the methods have different trade-offs, but I have found that using this method to be the most consistent in getting good exposure for my videos, especially the low light ones. If you're getting something from this video, let me know by giving it a tap down below on the thumbs up to let me know to keep making videos exactly like this one. The second thing that will absolutely increase your result with low light videos is using the right ISO. In short, as we increase the ISO gain in our camera, we're gonna slowly introduce noise into our image, which is gonna soften it, make it less sharp.
É muito esforço, olha lá. Fazer essa animaçãozinha com um ISO do lado.
Maybe do some color shifting and ultimately introduce the noise into the shadows of the shot. The A7IV performs well at high ISOs in general, but we also have the added benefit of a dual baseline ISO. Let's break down that dual baseline ISO. It's actually really simple. Sounds complicated, it's pretty easy.
Não lembro se a 7C tem. Eu acho que tem.
Just for a moment, let's pretend that the A7IV only has one baseline ISO. What even is a baseline ISO? Every picture profile is different in regards to...
Rapaz! Ah não, isso eu já sabia. Me exaltei, não.
To what the baseline ISO is, but it's the lowest ISO that you can use in that given picture profile. So for the A7IV, and staying on this one baseline ISO example, let's say that I was in S-Log3 where the baseline ISO is 800. When I increased the ISO gain, the noise would simply increase until I ran out of ISO. So if I wanted a low noise image, the lower the ISO, the better. When we're in low light, we'll need to shoot at higher ISOs, which is where the challenges come into play with introducing some of that annoying noise into our image. But the A7IV has a sneaky feature where we get a second baseline ISO that is exactly 4 times the baseline ISO. And I'm gonna include a free chart down below that includes every picture profile on the A7IV, what the baseline ISOs are, and what their second baseline ISO value is if you want the cheat sheet. Anyways, back on our S-Log, and what includes every picture baseline ISO.
S-Log 2 é 3200 igual a S-Log 3. Rapaz!
3200. If you want the cheat sheet. Anyways, back on our S-Log3 example where 800 is the baseline ISO, what's 4 times 800? 3200, which will be our second baseline ISO, which means that 800 and 3200 are our best performers when it comes to having a low noise end result image. This means that I'd rather shoot at 3200 as opposed to even this value, which is less, because 3200 being that second baseline, we're gonna have a lot less noise. Naturally, and because of that second baseline ISO reset that we get, we can shoot in these high ISOs and maintain a sharp, low noise video. The final component that's giving me really good low light results out of my...
Tem muito pra comentar não, tô mais aprendendo. Desculpa, curso ao vivo.
Sony A7IV, and this is the one that took me a while to get figured out. It's actually pretty simple, is my editing and color grading. I'm in Premiere.
Eu acho que são as coisas se alinhando, porque eu me esforcei para ficar um vídeo bonitinho aqui. Aí eu cortei o finalzinho do meu vídeo aqui. E aí...
DaVinci's better, everybody hates Premiere now. I'm in Premiere, regardless of what you're using, what I'm gonna show you is universal and is applicable whether you're in DaVinci, Final Cut, or Premiere. I'm about to make some tweaks to the footage here. The amounts that you'll make these tweaks will vary depending on your shot, so keep that in mind. But generally, here's what you wanna do. I'll bring the contrast up, the shadows down, and the blacks down. And yes, by making these tweaks, particularly bringing the shadows down and the blacks down, we're gonna be breaking the rule of not losing too much data in the blacks on our luminoscope here. But if I had to choose between losing some detail in the shadows or having more noise, I'll drop the shadows every single time. And here is what we are left with after making those small tweaks. Pay extra attention to the reduction of noise in the shadows. In addition to the great...
Não dá pra perceber no YouTube, desculpa.
Low light performance. If you're curious why the Sony A7IV is my main camera in 2023 as opposed to something like the A7S III, check out this video where I get into those details. Anyways, I'll see you in the next one. Take care. See ya.
Aulas cria.